Welcome back. So in this lesson, we're going to go over the last type of event, which is the key press event. Okay. And so let's go ahead and open up a blank template. You'll see I've changed the colors and some of the materials here just to make it look a little nicer, but pretty much this is empty. And we're going to need a part to change properties on. So I'm just going to put a sphere in here. Okay. And I'm just going to call it sphere, and that'll be good for now. Okay, so the key press event, or actually using key press events, is a little different from the mouse click and the touched events, just because they're a little different to set up, but it's nothing difficult. Okay, so what we need to do first is, the thing is, because this is a key press event, every player can press keys. And so we need a script that is attached to every player. Okay. And the way you do that is you actually put that script here. If you look in the Explorer window, we have a, whoops, didn't want to change that. Here in the Explorer window, we have a starter player section. Let me close this. And then inside of that starter player section, we have a starter character scripts. And in here, I already have a local script, but I'm just going to go ahead and add another one. Okay, to local script. And it has to be local script. It can't be a regular script. Okay, and let me make sure I'm on the right one. I'm going to call this one, I'm going to change the name on this one, local script key. There we go. And I can change the name just to make sure I'm in here. Actually, I'm going to call it a local script key. Okay, and we have the same thing as before, right? So we have a function, and I'm going to say on key. And then we're going to have an event that hooks up to our function, that we connect to our function. Now, this is the part that's a little different, okay? So what we do is we still use this game, but what we need is a get service. Okay, and the service that we're going to use, and it actually fills this in for you if you put some quotation marks in there, is this user input service. Okay, so game get service user input service, and the user input service is what allows us to detect key presses. Okay, so the one we use, and this is nice because it has this all autocomplete, is input began. Okay, and this is, and you can see the description. It says fired when a user begins interacting via a mouse, gamepad, or keyboard. Okay, so this will actually let you detect gamepad presses or movements and mouse clicks as well. Okay, now when input began, this is our event. Our event is that somebody has pressed something somewhere. We connect. Okay, and we put our function inside, and that's it. We've got the foundation, kind of the template for how we use key presses, or how we detect key presses. Okay, so game, we use a get service, the user input service. We say when input begins, input began, that event, connect it to my function on key. And let's just test it. So let's print key press. Okay, so anytime I press any key, it's going to print key press to the output window. So let's go ahead and make sure that works. So if I push play, okay, and let me see, if I press the mouse button, it does it, any of the mouse buttons. If I think even if I scroll, no, actually scroll doesn't cause the thing to trigger. Now let's press some keys. And the funny thing is some of these don't work. So if I push I, nothing. O, nothing. P, there it goes. U, there it goes. I can do the arrows and they will cause the key press to fire. Home, page up, page down, delete, they all do it. Okay, so we have a lot of choices as far as which keys we can use to trigger our events. Okay, let me go ahead and stop this. We know it's working. So here's the thing. Let's get a little more complicated now. So this also gives you an input, and I'm going to call it input. And we can print. And I don't know if it's going to do, I don't know if it's going to show autocomplete on this. Oh, actually, I do want to do that. So if I do input dot, now see, it doesn't give me the autocomplete, but I think it's called key code with capitals like that, input dot key code. Let's try it. If not, I'll go look up what it actually is. Now this, what it should do is tell us what we've pressed. So now if I do mouse click, it says unknown here, and it does it, I guess. Oh, whoa, something else is. That's weird. When I hover over the screen, it actually does it as well. Let's try up arrow. There it goes. And here we see the name enum key code up. Okay. Let's try some other ones. Let's try P. Enum key code dot P. Q. Yeah, all these work. Now I doesn't work for some reason, and O doesn't work for some reason. Not sure why. Okay, so now we can detect and we can print out what these key codes are. So this works. So we print input.keycode and it tells us what key we pressed. Okay. So in order for this to work, we need to be able to check if a certain key code, if a certain key has been pressed. How do we do that? Well, we're going to use an if statement. And if statements are pretty easy. All you say is if something, then end. Okay. And the something is we want to make sure that the key pressed is the one we're looking for. So we do input.key code, both capitalized, and it's two equal signs. Two equal signs means that they're equal to each other. Okay. One equal sign is what we use when we want to like assign a value. So we want to set the transparency to 0.25 or something. When we want to check that two things are equal, we use two equal signs. Okay. And what we want to do is use what they gave us here. See how it says enum.keycode dot something? Let's do that. Enum.keycode. And this one does show me autocomplete. Dot. And then we have a ton of choices, right? We can choose any of these. So these are all the letters. And see, it shows I, but for some reason it doesn't detect I. Not sure why. So if this ever doesn't work, just try a different key because chances are that it's just one of the keys that doesn't work for some reason. All right, so let's use, what do I like to use? I'm just going to use P because P was working earlier. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so enum code, key code P. So whenever we press P, it's going to do something. So let's go ahead and check that. Let's make sure that this is working. So print, and we're just going to print you pressed P. Okay, let's check it. Let's make sure this works. So play. And let's see, let's press some other keys. So if I press the up and down key, nothing. If I press the L key, nothing. If I press the P key, oh, it didn't work. Whoops. Let's go back and check what I did wrong. If input.keycode equals enum.keycode.p. Let me check and see. Hold on, I've got another script where I had this working. If input.keycode enum, then that should have worked. Input.keycode. I guess let's try another one. Let's try delete, I guess. Let's see if delete works. All right, let's see, you pressed delete. That's strange. Let me see. Okay, let's hit play. But you know what? This happens. Sometimes stuff doesn't work and you have to be able to work through this. You can actually have a whole course on nothing but debugging, which would probably be the most boring course ever, but it doesn't work. Why? Oh, you know what? I bet it's because I haven't clicked on here. That's what it is. Okay. So for some reason, when you test games, let me show you why that is. Okay. So for some reason, when you first push play on a game, it doesn't react to your, see, I'm pushing the up and down arrow, so the character should move, but it's not because I haven't clicked inside of this area. I have to click inside of here first, and then my character responds. So it's like the keyboard doesn't do anything until you click inside of this window. But now that you have, you can hit delete. And there it goes. It says you pressed delete. Okay. So I'm just going to use that. I'm just going to use that key. So I'm going to hit stop. So that was a little bit of debugging. And we don't want it to actually print anything. We want it to do something interesting. Okay, so let's add, let me see how I added a sphere. Yeah, so I added a sphere. And now what I want to do is I want to change something about that sphere. But here's the issue. Our script is over here on the starter player. How do I get access to this sphere and change its properties? Well, it's actually pretty easy. And this is something you can always do. We just do game.workspace. And once we've hit game.workspace, if we do the dot operator, you get access to everything that's inside the workspace. And everything that's inside the workspace is all of this stuff, which includes the sphere. So it should show the sphere somewhere. There it is. There's my sphere. So I hit sphere. And now I can change any of the properties on my sphere. So I'm going to go ahead and do our classic brick color change. And there we go. So now every time we hit delete, this will change the color on the sphere, the brick color. So let's test it and make sure this works. Okay, make sure I'm in here. All right, let me hit delete. And there it goes. Changing the colors every time I hit delete. And sometimes it's the same color, but it's okay. It works. Okay, so we can change properties. Let me see. Let's do something else. So I'm just gonna use the same one because I don't really want to do more than one. Okay, so let's say when we hit delete, let's change something else. So let's say script dot workspace. Oh no, I didn't want to do that. Game. Sorry. Game dot workspace dot end sphere again. And what do we want to change about the sphere? Well, let me say. Let's say that whenever you do it, what else can we change about it? Let me see if I can find something that we haven't done. Material reflectance, transparency. Let me see. Let's change can collide, anchored. I guess we could do. Wanted to do something different. Oh, you know what we can do? We can change the position. Let me show you how you would do that. Okay, so we're going to change the position. Yeah, and so here's how you do it. You actually can add something every single time to this vector. And it's pretty easy to do. All you do is you do a plus equals, and then you add whatever it is you want. So we're going to add a new vector3. So vector3.new. And we'll just make this go in a direction. Let's see, which direction do we want it to go? Let's make it go along the x direction. Okay. So along the x direction, we want it to be, what is it? Let's do 1 comma 0 comma 0, because this goes, let me write this in. So this goes x, y, z. So if you want to change those, we're going to add 1 to the x value, nothing to the y value, and nothing to the z value every time. Okay, and let's see if this works. I've never actually done this, so I'm kind of experimenting here. Let's see if this works. It might not actually, but it's okay. Part of the fun of coding is trying things out that sometimes don't work. All right, let's see if it works. Oh, it works. Every time I hit delete, it moves my position. Oh, and let me show you how this works actually. Okay, so if you look inside of your properties for sphere, you'll see that there's a position, right? And this has an X position, a Y position, and a Z position. And whenever you move your sphere, it changes these numbers. So see right now how it's at negative 1.5 for X. If I move it this way, it changes to negative 1, then negative 0.5, then 0, and now it's going to start getting positive. Now it's going to go 0.5. And the reason it's changing by that much is because I have that much on my move snap to grid. So if I make that a 1, and then I go back, let me start this at 0. Okay, so now it's at x equals 0, and let me show you. Okay, so now it's at x equals 0, and if I move, it's going to move by 1 every time. So now it's at 1, now it's at 2, notice how it's at 2 over here, and I can keep going, 3, 4, and so on. So I'm going to go back to 0. Okay, and now I'm going to look at this while I press that key so you can see that it changes it the same way. So because we're adding 1 every time to the x value. Okay, And you could do this for any of them. And I'll show you that here in a second. This is actually pretty useful. So let's go ahead and push play. And I'm going to open up the workspace so you can see what happens to this sphere. And if we look at the position, you'll notice that this position is at 0 for X. But when I push the delete key, watch what happens. I push it. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. I guess I could. Okay, so I picked a bad key because you can actually delete stuff. I didn't know you could do that. Let me change the key. That was a unknown thing. So let me change it to delete from delete. Yeah, basically I deleted the sphere inside the game. So let me change it back to P. Let me try that again. Okay, so I have my sphere and I'm going to look at its position as I hit the P key to see how it changes. All right, so here's the position. There's the X value of 0. Now, when I hit P, watch what happens. 1, okay, it changed to 1 over here. Hit P again, it changes to 2 and it moves. And as I press this key, I can move my sphere as many times as I want, okay? Now let's try another direction. So let's say that instead of X, I wanted this thing to go up. Well, the up direction is Y, okay? And you can see that if you look at this little, let me move it here. Yeah, so do you see the Y direction is right here and it moves up. So let's change that. Let's make this sphere go up every time. So I'm gonna make it go 0, 1, 0. Okay, so let's push play. And now when I push the P key, it will move up by 1. There it goes. Very nice. Okay, so this is actually really useful. But what if you wanted more keys, right? What if you wanted, because right now all we can do is detect one key at a time. Well, you can actually have more keys in here. All you have to do is type in else if. There it goes. And you hit enter and it auto completes it. And we're just going to copy this line right here. And we're going to change the key. So I'm going to copy, Control C, put it right here, Control V. And I'm going to change the key. I'm going to make it L maybe. Oh, actually, I want the capital L, I guess. Wait, why didn't I do that? Oh, there it goes. And then I want to copy this because I want it to go in a different direction. So I'm going to copy, Control C, and then put this here, Control V, delete. And this time, I don't want it to go up. I want it to go down. So I'm going to say -1. Okay. So let's try this. So now if I push P, it's going to go up. If I push L, it's going to go down. Let's push play. See if this works. Okay. So if I push P, up, L, down, and I wonder if it'll go through. Oh, and it even goes through the ground. Let me show you. You can actually make things go through the ground this way. All right, so it worked. And so this if statement, this is kind of a more advanced version of the if statement. It says basically if the key, the input key code is P, then move the position up in Y by 1. Else, if the key code is L, then move the position up by -1 or down. Okay, and you could have a bunch of these, right? You could have a bunch of these. All you have to do is copy this right here. Let me show you. So if I do Control C, enter, Control V. Now I'm going to change the, oh wait. Oh, I guess because it has the same values, we need to pick a different letter. So let's pick K. Okay. And then K will have move along the X again. So delete. So I'm going to move that 1 along the X and get rid of this. And you can have more than one number in here, but I'm just trying to keep it simple. Okay, so we have 3 options now. If you push P, it moves up. If you push L, it moves down. And if you push K, it moves sideways. So let's try it. So P, L, K. Okay, so let me move this so you can see it a little better. So P, up, L, down, K, sideways. And you could actually set up keys to move this object in all 3 directions. And this is basically how you use key presses to make things happen. And so you could do anything here, right? We could change the size. Let me go to the sphere. You could change the size like this. You can change the position. You can change the any of the properties that we've already used. You can make these keys change things in the world, right? We could mess with the clouds again. You could go into the lighting and change clock time or any property that you see in here, right? We can change any of them using any key that you want to. Okay, so this concludes the lessons on key presses. I don't know where everything went. Oh, there it is. So this concludes the lessons on key presses. We learned about the touch event, the mouse click event, and the key press event. And all of them are useful in different ways, right? But they're what really allow us to make things happen in our game, right? Because anytime you touch something, you click on something, or you press a key, you can make things change, okay? So after this, we're going to have a lot of lessons where we apply events to make some more interesting things happen in our game. I'll see you then.